Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. Oh man, what an embarrassment. I'm not muted now. That happened on the TV last night. Somebody was on and they forgot to turn their mic on, just like what I just did. So yeah, Kayla, if you want to go back to Facebook. I'm going to continue going into this, and I'm actually going to reread all the rules and try to understand things. And yeah, and I want to talk a bit more about the third party concept as well. Well, that's a shame. Sorry if you guys were online and... Oh, this tea is so nice. What is it? It's nice when you find a little mysterious tea and you drink it and it makes you feel good. Some kind of oolong. Some kind of rolled oolong. I don't know. You guys won't be able to see it there with that filter, but it's nice. Mostly on the green side. There is some color variability. I have a feeling this might be the Jushan oolong, our buddy Alfredo's tea. Cool. All right, Kayla. Thanks for coming back. Yeah, so this Jorgensen, Joe Jorgensen with the Libertarian Party captured quite a bit of the vote, and some are saying that you know, her views and her platform is actually pretty far right leaning, and had she not been on the ballot, or had she not motivated people, you know, for her to take their vote, that their vote probably would have gone to the Republican candidate. So, you know, she may have, and when you're in a race this tight, oh, I'll look it up. Was this like a political commentator or something, Caleb? Founder of On It, Own the Day, host of a podcast. Okay, cool. Oh, so he was endorsing her. Let's see what he says. I'll bring it over. We can all look at it. He says, election day, lamenting our two choices, but we don't only have two choices. Meet Joe Jorgensen, libertarian educator. She stands for the freedom to explore our consciousness with whatever plants we want. For women to do what they wish with their bodies, for the USA to stop fighting unnecessary wars, and for states to have the right to decide what is best for their people. And so then he says, the reason I posted this was just to remind everyone that there's actually other options built into our democratic system. But if we want these voices to be heard, we have to fight for it. I know that this post wasn't going to change the election. It's just a gentle reminder of our options. I don't talk about politics much because I believe that our people lead and the politicians follow. So yeah, it looks like there's quite a few comments here. So yeah, there's criticism that there's like you're voting from a position of privilege by voting for third parties like Libertarian Party, Green Party, or that it's a wasted vote. And so the thing is, like, okay, if that person didn't vote for the Libertarian candidate, for Joe Jorgensen, who is actually quite conservative compared to Biden, chances are they probably would have voted for the Republican candidate. So I don't know if it's responsible for us to make that judgment, and it's incredibly not responsible for us to make judgments against peers in our community, especially peers in our community that are putting in the work to be engaged in this. So I'd like to make my plea. This is my personal plea with everyone today. That if you're going to talk politics with people, which I encourage you to do so, I think that it's really important for us to find the comfort and to find the vulnerability to talk politics with each other, even if we don't agree with each other, and to find ways to resolve and at the end of the day realize, yeah, we are all in this community together, working together. So yes, if you're going to talk politics, if you're going to talk about this vote, if you're going to talk about how exciting this race is and how tight this race is, and a friend of yours or a family member of yours did not vote the same way that you voted, or voted in a way, hey guys, if they voted in a way that you felt was a wasted vote, just stop it. Don't do that. Like that's not what we need. What we do need to be doing is celebrating the highest level of civic engagement that we've ever experienced in this country ever. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I gotta vet that statement I just made. But I saw what they said, 60%, something like 60 or 70% of the votable population of this country voted yesterday. I remember last year, or the last presidential cycle, it was 20% or something like that. So come on, we got to be celebrating our peers being engaged in this process. And maybe they made a mistake, and maybe they're going to learn. And the only way they're going to learn and make better decisions next time, and most importantly, have better options on the ballot to choose from, is if we encourage that engagement to continue. And not stop after today, not stop after the winner of this election is selected or chosen or declared or whatever. So yeah, let's just celebrate that people voted. People went out and did it, and that's incredible. And I do encourage you to research this third-party candidate. Not because I agree with what she says, and not because she should have won this election, but because she represents an opportunity there is for reform, for evolution. Yeah, so just knowing, it's good. And yeah, she in the case of Michigan directly, she directly impacted the election of that particular state. Maybe not Arizona so much, looking at these numbers, but if you look at the Michigan numbers, she definitely, yeah, that's great. She definitely affected those numbers. So let's look at Michigan. So again, there's a difference of 70,000 votes between Biden and Trump, and then Jorgensen got 59,000 votes. So that's 59,000 votes that probably would have gone to Trump. They probably would have gone to him. And that would have totally changed the whole outlook of this state, which is quite a bit of significant electoral votes. How much we got here? 16, and that's, gonna it will. This state will be a big determinant of, who's gonna pull the lead in the rest of the electoral votes. Yeah, Kayla. So I had an interesting experience last night. I'm gonna present my vulnerability to you guys. And spending time with some friends, very passionate, very intelligent, politically intelligent friends. Probably the most politically intelligent friends that I have, and they. Brought a lot of awareness to me around this whole system, and I don't know, there was just lots of great conversation that was had, and not 100% of it was all we agree with each other and this is how it should be going, but don't know why I brought this up, but the power of being vulnerable is always there. Oh, now I remember. Okay, so we were speaking, and I speak with a very strong voice, and very strong connection to what a perspective that we should be talking about. And yeah, I don't want to say truth, because what is truth? We cannot fully grasp that thing. We can only perceive what we can from our perspective on it. But we were speaking with each other, and we didn't agree. And then I was held responsible for influencing others, and how I need to be extremely mindful about my humility of knowledge, in that area of influence. So I guess what I'm trying to say, Kayla, in regards to what you just said, is I still have a lot to learn. We all do, but I'll take the responsibility that I have a lot to learn, and I understand the platforms that I've built, and I'm going to continue to build them, and I'm going to continue building this community and doing what I can to inspire, because that intuitively feels right. But at the same time, last night, I won't say exactly what was said, because it could have kind of been interpreted as insulting. I definitely wasn't insulted. I never get insulted, actually. If someone ever gives me an insult, I actually listen to it as truth, and instead of being offended by it, really try to learn from it and better myself from it. So that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah, it's really important. I may have strong opinions or offer, alternative spins on how to look at something, especially in regards to putting ourselves into a progressive emotional state, right? So if our emotional state is angry and not good, negative emotions, then our ability to learn new things and to increase our perspectives and to increase our tolerances becomes less. So yeah, I guess yeah, that's, I don't know, I'm kind of going on. Good, Kayla. That's my goal. My goal is not to say that what I'm saying is truth. And yeah, I was accused of being a pedantic child last night. Actually, I want to look that word up. I want to know exactly what that word means. Okay. Yeah. So okay, so that's somebody that I don't know. Is it similar to conceited? So the definition that I saw, it wasn't the official definition, but I saw something that was it's somebody who shows off their knowledge. Now, does that mean that the knowledge is not accurate? So someone that's conceited is somebody who has confidence when it's not warranted. So it is being pedantic. Yeah. The knowledge is not there. The perspectives are there, and the open-heartedness is there, and that's what I'm trying to offer here. So, anything that I'm sharing in any of these live streams is not truth, unless it's about the technicalities of tea and tea processing. That I can claim that I have the knowledge of and can speak upon as an expert. But politics, emotional intelligence, and these types of things, yeah, I have zero grasp on that stuff, and that's why I'm talking about these things, because I want to increase my understanding of those things. So yeah, coming to terms with the responsibilities of being an influencer, and chosen to go down this path, and it feels right. Like intuitively, it's feeling right. So I'm gonna keep going down it, but I've got to like consistently remind myself the importance of humility and staying open. So. The pedantic child is like the one that like sits in the back of the car and just like recites a bunch of like useless information. I don't know if the stuff that like I'm always running my mouth on is useless information. Some of it may be, but it's all with the intent of inspiring others. So that's that. Come to Eugene. We can do emotional intelligence circles. I like that. Do those even exist? Let's see if there's... Emotional intelligence for dummies. This is something I could find. Lisa Simpson is pedantic. Well, I liked Lisa Simpson. You would all like, okay, imagine if you were in Springfield and like shit was going down and you had Homer, Bart, Marge, and Lisa. Hey, come with me. I know the way out. Like, who are you gonna go with? Like, I'm gonna go with Lisa for sure. I feel safe with her. I mean, I feel safe with Marge as well. But I feel like Marge, she was a little aloof, you know. Lisa was there. She was like, yeah. All right, so let's refresh. Oh, what? So I guess they officially declared Michigan. Look at that. It's official. According to Associated Press, Michigan is confirmed. 264 to 214. Teen Lisa. Yeah. Yeah, I always like thought of the word pedantic being like a negative word. So when I got called that yesterday, I was like, and what was I talking about? I was just talking about, I was talking very high level philosophy in regards to this election and talking about, you know, cultural evolutions, and was basically told that that's irrelevant in this, yeah. So, is that true, Kayla? Springfield, Oregon? Is the Simpsons Springfield? So they're in Oregon. Why is it always sunny? Why is it always sunny on The Simpsons? You know, I always imagine, like, you know, I think of The Simpsons, it's like the sun and those little clouds coming through, and, you know, the environment's always like sunny, happy, shorts and t-shirt weather. But where in the U.S. is it like that? Especially someplace called Springfield. But that's fun. That's a fun little pedantic fact you had to share with us, Kayla. I get it. So that's what I got to work on. I learned something new. This is actually, it may not seem like it to you guys, but like I'm processing a lot in my head, and I'm going to take it offline now from this forum right now. But yeah, that was a good experience to go through of understanding the importance of knowledge. When you're in a position of trying to be a thought leader, yeah, it can be a hard journey of staying valuable instead of staying or, you know, turning pedantic or seemingly pedantic, because yeah, people probably don't like that. They feel patronized, and people don't like that. It's just like the sarcasm. It's probably exactly like that. I was talking about sarcasm before being like a very effective communication method. Could be a similar thing as this. So being a thought leader, you have to really keep yourself in check about how to keep yourself connected with people versus, you know, becoming like this higher than someone else type of a thing. But I think that there was worse names that I could have been called. Yeah. I was, no, I won't talk about it. We'll move on. So that's exciting. So now Biden needs just 6 more votes. And guess who has 6 votes? 6 electoral votes in Nevada, where we are right now. And Nevada is a very close one. So I guess now I'll talk about Nevada. Because Nevada is interesting, and I live in Nevada, so that's my state. That's my vote getting counted in this little chunk here. You can see this here. Look at that. Blue, blue, all right in the middle. And that's interesting. So Kayla says, actually, like starting a statement with actually can certainly be a shut-off valve for receptivity. You're right. So correcting people doesn't make them feel good either. That's understood. Okay. So let's see. There is a margin of less than 8,000 votes this is incredible, you know, of 580 votes each, or a total is, you know, over 1 million votes, 1,600 votes, 1.6 million votes, and there's a margin of less than 8,000 in that. And you can see the third parties here. And not only did a third party take a significant amount of the vote, but no one took over 10,000 votes. Over 10,000 people in the state of Nevada is voting for nobody. They voted and then chose to vote for nobody. So I think there's a lot of power in that too. Like this says a lot. Like not only does it say a lot that a lot of people throughout the country voted for this third party candidate, but that they voted for none. Like they were so uninspired about what's going on that they didn't even want to vote for anybody. So that's cool. But, you know, the argument is being made that these 20,000 plus votes are wasted that could have gone to secure, you know, one of these other candidates. But like I was saying earlier, Jo Jorgensen, I mean, if people did legitimately vote for Jo Jorgensen because of her policies versus they just voted for the third party because they didn't like the other two, but if they really did vote for her because of her policies, if she wouldn't have been on the ballot, they probably would have ended up voting for the Republican candidate. So you can make your decision on that. Kayla, I am just viewing this from Google, like literally from Google. If you just Google search 2020 presidential election, and then if you vote by state, but you don't have to actually just vote. If you search, you know, by the whole country, it gives you this map with the total votes, and then it breaks it down by the different. Well, here's the swing states, but then when you click on the actual state, then it breaks down the counties. But it doesn't break them down farther than that. I was hoping for that too, because then you can see, you know, like what is the Anyway, I was talking about Nevada. So let's finish talking about that. Because there's a big question here is like, why the heck everywhere else has like 95% reporting, 99% reporting. Hi, good to see you. If you didn't see, Biden has been confirmed on Michigan. So he's now at 264. He needs 6 more votes to get to 270. And then all of our worries are over, kind of. No, they're not. We still need to stay engaged. But at least like this step of the process is starting to see some closure, which is nice. So yeah, Nevada was only at 75% reporting versus the 95%, 99% reporting for most of the other states. And the reason why is because each state is doing it completely different. Like they all have their own rules. They all have their own way of doing it. And So, according to the Review Journal, which is, Las Vegas's, main newspaper here, I actually found a pretty cool video we can watch. Let's see. There was kind of a big intro here.
Continue your 2020 election coverage here at the Las Vegas Review Journal. Earlier today, the Nevada Election Office, the officials there tweeting out news that we won't see those results until tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Now, if you just joined us, we got information from a news briefing at the election department in North Las Vegas, where the county registrar of voters, Joe Garcia, addressed the election results. Our political reporter, Rory Appleton, was there with a recap of everything that was covered. Rory?
Okay, so we're here at the Clark County Elections Office where they process all the ballots. What we've heard so far from the registrar are that at 10 a.m. every day from now on, there will be a press conference and new numbers shared. That's when we will know more. What we were hoping to kind of hear was how many ballots, an idea of how many ballots are still outstanding. The answer was not given. They don't really know, is what they're saying. They do say that by tomorrow, we will be pretty heavily updated in terms of the mail-in ballots. Most of those will be processed. And then, obviously, mail ballots that arrive for the next week or so will still be counted, and there'll be daily updates for a while. In terms of, what this means in so many close races in Clark County, all the early voting is done. All the in-person voting is done. Those tended to trend pretty Republican. That seemed to be where President Trump, where other Republicans on the ballot were doing well. The mail ballots so far here in Clark have trended pretty heavily Democratic. So if you're watching these races, it seems like the updates are likely to favor Democrats. Again, we don't know. We should mention that Clark County is not some giant monolith. It's widely viewed as Democratic, but there's a big difference between a voter in, say, Boulder City or Henderson versus downtown Las Vegas. So we don't know where those ballots are going to be coming from. We don't know how many. So it just sounds like for the next, at least tomorrow, we should have a much more clear picture. But for the next few days, we're going to have to kind of wait and see in terms of what's coming in and what's going out in terms of numbers. Thank you so much. I'll send it back to you, Renee.
Thank you so much,
So
Rory.
that's the update from Nevada. So every day they're going to have a press conference at 10 a.m. to release the new numbers. And tomorrow's release should be a good one, should be a big one, because it will be the majority of the mail-in ballots that were, earlier sent in. So the votes left in Nevada, that's 25% of the votes that haven't been counted yet, are all the mail-in ballots received on Election Day, the mail ballots that will be received until next week. So those are the ones that were, mailed in a little late, and then the provisional ballots. So that's why they're saying probably the mail ballots that were received on Election Day, those will be all counted and announced by tomorrow. And so that's why that reporter had said that tomorrow will be, a big day. Like most of the numbers that we're waiting to see will come tomorrow. At 10 a.m. Pacific. So if we're still hanging at the 264, Trump will probably some of his states that are still, being, who knows what's going to happen? Maybe Alaska has not been confirmed yet. Where's Alaska? 50% reporting. Wow. Trump's got a pretty significant lead so far. Wow. 63% to 32% in Alaska. But, those kinds of numbers, especially when the reporting is so small, such a small percentage of the total votes, you can't make any assessment on that. An example of that is yesterday when we were watching the updates, on MSNBC, when they showed the preliminary Nevada numbers, and 1% of the votes were counted. They were like 1% votes counted. Here's our initial, and that was all of the rural counties, like in the center of the state. Well, actually, most of the state, other than Clark County and Washoe County, all the rural counties got counted, and the number was pretty incredible. It was like 97% to 3% for Trump. So I took a picture of it because I was like, oh, that's funny. It quickly changed once like more and more the ballots started coming in. It started to change and get to the number where it's at now. But it was interesting to see that like by counting just the rural county votes, how much of a disparity there was there. And then I went to go check other states and even other states where, well, let's see, like Kentucky was the first one to be called. I wonder what that number ended up finalizing to. 98% reported, 62.6 to 35.7. So yeah, that's a pretty big difference. It's definitely not 97% to 3%, but yeah, that says a lot, you know, about this culture versus, you know, California. What was California at? So California was pretty much the opposite for Biden. You know, so you got California and Kentucky. All the red places here. Definitely away from the coast, more of the agriculture area. So that's what it comes down to. It's kind of interesting. It's like there's like a culture, an agrarian culture kind of associated with the colors here. And I don't think it should be that way because I certainly idealize an agrarian lifestyle. And I think people of any, you know, position of the political spectrum would also idealize. People forget about it. I said something about it last night and my friends were like, oh, why are you even saying that? I'm like, because that's important. You know, food is important. And we were sitting there eating food as I was saying it. I was like, yeah, it's important. We need to be doing a lot more to be protecting, you know, our land and our farmers. Because it's as if they're all voting, you know, for a very different culture than other places. So the more, you know, urban places, which nothing to say wrong with an urban lifestyle either. It's just we need to find ways to harmonize with each other and work with each other. Okay, so now I'm done looking at these maps. I think that this is the main update we'll be getting. Georgia. Well, let's see. Let's crunch some numbers on Georgia and see what needs to happen. So the total votes that have been counted is Georgia's an interesting one. On Twitter, Trump has officially called Georgia and Pennsylvania, which is interesting because nowhere else has it officially been called, but his Twitter feed. All right, so there's been 4,829,451 votes counted so far. And this is at a 97% reporting. So then we divide that number by 97%, and the total number of votes is 4,978,815. And 3% of that is 364 votes left to be counted. So if we look at that number, and then let's look at the leads here. So what is the lead? $54,405. That's how much Biden needs to get. So in order for Biden to end up winning this state, he needs to get over 50% of the remaining votes to be counted. We'll see. But now I want to look at the Constitution. This is a Constitution study group, so I'm going to get back to that. It's been fun with the excitement of the numbers and all of that, but I wanted to look at the exact rules that we're working with. And maybe if I feel so inspired as well. So going to Article 2. Remember, Article 2 is where all the executive information is, and so that's where all the rules about voting are. So I'll read that quickly for us. The executive power shall be vested in the President of the United States of America. He shall hold his office during the term of 4 years, and together with the vice president chosen for the same term be elected as follows. Each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators and representatives to which the state may be entitled in the Congress, but no senator or representative or person holding an office or trust or profit under the United States shall be appointed an elector. The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for the 2 persons or whom one at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves. And they shall make a list of all the persons voted for and of the number of votes for each, which list they shall sign and certify and transmit sealed to the seat of the government of the United States, directed to the President of the Senate. The President of the Senate shall, in the presence of the Senate and House of Representatives, open all the certificates, and the votes shall then be counted. The person having the greatest number of votes shall be the President. If such number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed, and if there be more than one who have such majority and have an equal number of votes, then the House of Representatives shall immediately choose by ballot one of them for president. And if no person have a majority, then from the 5 highest on the list, the said House shall in like manner choose the president. But in choosing, battery's getting hot. And if no person of a majority, then from the 5 highest on the list, the said House shall in like manner choose the president. But in choosing the president, the vote shall be taken by states, the representatives from each state having 1 vote. A quorum for this purpose shall consist of a member or members from 2/3 of the states, and a majority of all the states shall be necessary to a choice. In every case, after the choice of the president, the person having the greatest number of votes of the electors shall be the vice president. But if there should remain 2 or more who have equal votes, the Senate shall choose from them by ballot the vice president. So yeah, this is all talking about the electoral votes and how you need a majority of those. And in total, there are I know I could have just remembered on the top of my head, but I'm just looking it up because 538. So you have to have a majority of this, which is why you need 270. Not 269. You need 270 or more. Or else it's considered a tie. Even if you have more votes than the other one, as long as you don't have 270, then you don't win. The Congress may determine the time of choosing the electors and the day on which they shall give their votes, which day shall be the same throughout the United States. No person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible to the office of President. Neither shall any persons be eligible to that office who shall not have attained to the age of 35 years and been 14 years a resident within the U.S. Okay, this is all about removal, compensation. This is duties. And that's it. That's it. Those are the rules written about the election. That's it. So, we're kind of at a time now where I think a lot of people are probably celebrating. because they're assuming that this election's going one way or the other. And oh, my phone just got super hot. Something happened. But it's not finalized yet. The votes won't be, on a final count. For could be another week. In Nevada, right? They said that several more days they expect they're gonna need to finish counting all the ballots. Alaska, I want to research that. What's holding up Alaska's? But I am reading this Wikipedia article currently, so I'm here. Looking at Federalist number 68. Well, I'm not looking at the Federalist 68. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page for it, so I'm cheating. But this is the document, probably written by Hamilton, that is titled "The Mode of Electing the President." So I just kind of wanted to review this and kind of see, perhaps, if I could understand better, like the intent of how the rules were set up, around the. He argues the advantages of the indirect electoral process described in Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution, although in the case of a tied vote, House, he viewed this system as superior to direct popular election. First, he recognized the sense of the people should operate in the choice, and would, through the election of the electors to the Electoral College. Second, the electors would be men most capable of analyzing the qualities adapted to the station and acting under circumstances favorable to deliberation and to a judicious combination of all the reasons and inducements which were proper to govern their choice. Such men would be most likely to have the information and discernment to make a good choice and to avoid the election of anybody or anyone not in an eminent degree endowed with a requisite qualifications. Corruption of an electoral process could most likely arise from the desire of foreign powers to gain an improper assent in their councils. To minimize risk of foreign machinations and inducements, the Electoral College members would have only a transient existence, and no elector could be a senator, representative, or other person holding a place of trust or profit under the United States. Electors would be made their choice in a detached situation, whereas a pre-existing body of federal office holders might be tampered with beforehand to prostitute their votes. Also, a successful candidate for the office of president would have to have the distinguished qualities to appeal to electors from many states, not just one or a few states. Talents for low intrigue in the little arts of popularity may alone suffice to elevate a man to the first honors in a single state, but it will require other talents and different kind of merit to establish him in the esteem and confidence of the whole Union, or of so considerable a portion of it as would be necessary to make him a successful candidate for the distinguished office of the President of the United States. He expressed confidence that it will not be too strong to say that there will be a constant probability of seeing the station filled with characters preeminent for ability and virtue. He lists these rules for the electors. The electors meet only within their own specific states to select the president. No individuals who have too great devotion to the president in office, and no individuals who currently hold elected positions within the government may serve as electors. So there's the Anti-Federalist counter to Hamilton's argument is that they argue the issues of electoral college deal with the ability of electors rather than the people to elect the president. In his eyes, the electoral college removes the ability of the people to select their leader and instead delegates that right to the small number of individuals. The writer further speculates it is not probable, at least possible, that the president who's to be vested with all of this demiomnipotence, who is not chosen by the community and who consequently, as to them, is irresponsible, independent, that he, I say, by a few artful and descendant emissaries in Congress may not only perpetuate his own personal administration, but also make it hereditary. Early Democratic Republicans' fears are of a hypothetically stronger executive whom he compared to Britain's George III. I'm gonna look this one up. That's some pretty interesting wording right there. So yeah, it looks like Alaska may not finish counting their ballots until November 18th. Okay, so it says election day votes and early votes. This is for Alaska, the state of Alaska. This is kind of off topic from what I was just talking about, but I just wanted to bring this up because we were talking about it earlier. Get ready to wait. Election day votes and early votes cast by October 29th should be counted on election night, but the remainder of the early votes, as well as all the absentee votes, won't even begin to be counted until November 10th. With so many people voting absentee, it will probably take a week or two to declare winners here. Counting should be completed by November 18th. And then the kind of forecasts for what we should expect to see as those numbers get released is initial results in Alaska will probably be skewed toward Republicans since no mail ballots will be included in those totals. A blue shift could occur as absentee ballots are counted November 10th to 18th. It's like next week. However, absentee ballots here may not be quite as good for Democrats as they are in other states because Alaska, yeah. Anyway. So what I'm wondering is, like, if we're all voting for a common leader, why we all don't work within a common context for voting for that leader. So that's what I wanted to look up now as well. Oh, this is a short one, so maybe I'll read this one. Anti-Federalist Paper. Oh, I love reading the Anti-Federalist Papers because they're always so like juicy compared to the other ones.
"2020 was different, to say the least.
No,
We had
another commercial. All right, yeah, I can't find anything easily accessible right now about like why the states were allowed to do things so much differently, which is causing so much confusion now, or just impatience and waiting. But I'm going to go ahead and read this article published in the Kentucky Gazette on May 1st, 1788 by an anonymous writer, Republicus. This is a short one, so I'll do it. Anti-Federalist number 72. on the Electoral College on re-eligibility of the president. I go now to Article 2, Section 1, which vests this, and that was what I read earlier from the Constitution. That was what I read. Okay. Which vests the supreme continental executive power in a president in order to the choice of whom the legislative body of each state is empowered to point out to their constituents some mode of choice, or to save trouble, may choose themselves a certain number of electors who shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for 2 persons, one of whom at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves. Or in other words, they shall vote for 2, one or both of whom they know nothing of. An extraordinary refinement, this, on the plain, simple business of election, and of which the Grand Convention have certainly the honor of being the first inventors, and that for an officer, too, of such importance as a president, invested with legislative and executive powers, who is to be commander-in-chief of the army, navy, militia, etc. Grant reprieves and pardons, have a temporary negative on all the bills and resolves, convene and adjourn both House of Congress, be supreme conservator of laws, commission all officers, make treaties, and who is to continue 4 years and is only removable on conviction of treason or bribery, and triable only by the Senate, who are to be his own counsel, whose interests in every instance run parallels with his own, and who are neither the officers of the people nor accountable to them. Is it then become necessary that a free people should first resign their right of suffrage into other hands beside their own? And then secondly, that they to whom they resign, it should be compelled to choose men, whose persons, characters, manners, and principles they know nothing of. And after all, accepting some such change as is not likely to happen twice in the same century, to entrust Congress with the final decision at last, it is necessary, it is rational, that the sacred rights of mankind should thus dwindle down to electors of electors, and those again electors of other electors. This seems to be degrading them even below the prophetical curse denounced by the good patriarch on the offspring of his degenerate son, servant of servants. Again, I would ask, considering how prone mankind is to engross power and then to abuse it, is it not probable, at least possible, that the president who is to be vested with all this omnipotence, who is not chosen by the community and who consequently, as to them, is irresponsible and independent, that he, I say, by a few artful and dependent emissaries in Congress, may not only perpetuate his own personal administration, but also make it hereditary. By the same means, he may render his suspensive power over the laws as of operative and permanent as that of G, the 3D over the acts of British Parliament. Yes, that's the king. That's the tyrant. And I like how it's just G. And under the modest title of president may exercise the combined authority of legislation and execution in a latitude yet unthoughtful of. Upon his being invested with those powers a second or third time, he may acquire such enormous influence as added to his uncontrollable power over the army, navy, and militia, together with his private interest in the officers of all of these different departments, who are all to be appointed by himself. And so his creatures, in the true political sense of the word, and more especially when added to all this, he has the power of forming treaties and alliances and calling them to his assistance, that he, may I say, under all these advantages and almost irresistible temptations on some pretended pick, haughtily and contemptuously turn our poor lower house, the only shadow of liberty we shall have left, out of doors and give us law at the bayonet's point. Or may not the Senate, who are nearly in the same situation with respect to the people from similar motives and by similar means, erect themselves easily into an oligarchy towards which they have already attempted so large a stride, to one of which channels, or rather to a confluence of both, we seem to be fast gliding away, and the moment we arrive at it, farewell liberty. To conclude, I can think of but one source of right to government or any branch of it, and that is the people. They and only they have a right to determine whether they have laws or to execute them or do both in a collective body or by a delegated authority. Delegation is a positive, actual investiture. Therefore, if any people are subjected to an authority which they have not thus actually chosen, even though they may have tamely submitted to it, yet it is not their legitimate government. They are wholly passive, and as far as they are so, are in a state of slavery. Thank heaven we are not yet arrived at that state, and while we continue to have such sense enough to discover and detect, and virtue enough to detest and oppose every attempt, either of force or fraud, either from within or without or within, to bring us into that, we never will. Let us therefore continue united in the cause of rational liberty. Rational liberty. Let unity in liberty be our mark as well as our motto, for only such a union can secure our freedom, and division will inevitably destroy it. Thus, a mountain of sand may piecemeal be removed by the feeble hands of a child, but if consolidated into a rock, it mocks the united efforts of mankind and can only fall in a general wreck of nature. Man, the Anti-Federalists were the Anti-Federalist Papers were so juicy. Yeah, so there's definitely been a lot of back and forth around oh, there we go. I don't know why it's this camera. Let me try to get the other camera going. Okay. I'm back. So yeah, that was interesting. Got an update on this one. No update. That's fine. We may have to wait until next week, or maybe even later than that, until we get the final results, the final counts on everything. I did want to go back and review, some concepts around the third party, and this is actually coming from my friend, Brock Pierce, who was actually on the ballots of 16 states for the presidential office. Let's watch his video.
I'm Kaya Los Huertas. I'm the program coordinator for the National Association of Nonpartisan Reformers, or NANR for short. And here's my three-part question. Across the nation, about half of registered voters don't identify with either major political party. Yet in many states, closed primaries prevent these voters or independent candidates from participating in taxpayer-funded primaries. What is your position on closed primaries? What is one reform you would make to the election process to level the playing field for voters and candidates? And finally, would you support an effort to create an independent primary election for voters and candidates from any party affiliation or no party affiliation? Thank you.
If taxpayer funds are going to be used in the primaries, they should be available to all parties, or not. The two major parties are using government infrastructure for it, giving us the false impression that they are the government, their political parties. I believe it is up to the political party if they want to have an open or closed primary. In terms of reform, I think we need ballot access reform. Here's a little fact for you. If you want to run for president as a Democrat or a Republican, you need about 25,000 petitions or signatures. As an independent candidate, you need about 700,000. I think we need some ballot access reform. I'm also an advocate for ranked choice voting. Do you know who the last third-party candidate was to become president? Abraham Lincoln was a third-party candidate. And what he did is he built a coalition of third parties, and he built a government of rivals. He figured out how to bring the smaller parties together to create a government so that they could overcome the two larger parties at the time. I hope as third parties that we begin to have these sorts of conversations to figure out at least how we can collaborate. We may not agree on, call it our ideology and platform position, but we do stand to benefit by using shared infrastructure, shared petitioning. We have limited resources. We can accomplish more working together. I hope to work with the other third parties. I hope we can build a coalition. I hope we can Voltron to get our bolt on.
Cool. So yeah, that was just my friend's take on, the support that the government could be providing to third parties. Because it's an addressable portion of the population. People that don't identify with one party or the other. But as Brock had stated in that video, everything is up against for anybody trying to run against that two-party system. But, as we saw here, this third-party candidate pulled 1.1% of the vote, which swayed what was going on up here, So it's intense. Wow. This has been fun. It has been fun. Watching this whole process, getting engaged with this whole process. Brock does have long hair. I don't know. Yeah, he put out a video like very early on in his candidacy explaining his desire to not change his look. His long hair, and he likes to wear jeans. And I actually know him. I know him through Bitcoin. He's like an early Bitcoin influencer, but then he also is a burner. And so I know him through, Burning Man events and, those circles. So, his style is definitely, his own, and it's an important value to him. And so he put out this video saying, people have told me that I should cut my hair, that I need to change my look so I can, fit this role more. And I want to say, nah, throw that out. Like all of these preconceptions we have about, what kind of virtues our leaders need to have and what kind of looks and, superficialities they need to have. That's not as important. What's more important is, their representation of the community. That was pretty bold. So it's not horrible that you think that Brock's hair is nice. He'd appreciate that a lot, I'm sure. So maybe I'll continue reading about this stuff. So yeah, it is quite literally. So there's 6 votes left for this to finally be said and done, and we can say, okay, someone's won the majority. Then and then you look at Nevada, and it's like Clark County's mail-in ballots are the only thing left, and they're reporting. Then yeah, kind of waiting for Las Vegas. We're waiting for this city to kind of close the whole deal. It's kind of exciting. Was that a quote? Oh, where's that from, Kayla? I swear I'm listening to what you're saying too, Brock. What is that from? Yeah, but I want to understand more. I mean, even this whole thing about like how to get yourself, onto petitions. That's what's that called? The Voter Commission. The Election Assistance Commission. Yeah, this will probably be the website I need to research to get all those details. I don't know if I should do it right here, right now with you guys. It might take me a little while. You have to be patient as I read through this stuff. But like the process of getting yourself onto a ballot. Oh. No. It is the Federal Election Commission. That's what I thought. That other website, I don't know what that is. But that you have to get signatures, and why an independent candidate has to get far more signatures than a candidate that is, from one of the major parties. I want to see those rules, and potentially even research. What was the intent? Yeah, so Kayla, let's look at that. Kayla asked about the Nevada vote and this last row here, or this 4th row here, and none of these candidates. So on the ballot here, I think Nevada may be the only state, because I tried to click through all the states and see, and I think Nevada may have been the only one that has an option for nobody. So I don't want to vote for anybody. And over 10,000 people in the state of Nevada, 1%, almost 1% of the people that voted for no one. Truly a thrown out vote. Versus what some folks would say, a vote for Jorgensen or Blankenship would be a throw out vote. But no, that's an actual vote. You actually voted for somebody. But yeah, that other one is none of these candidates. You had to vote. It wasn't like if you left it blank, it would just default to that. No, there was a line. There was, the 4 options, and then there was a line at the bottom that said, sorry about that. There was a line on the bottom that said, none of these. So yeah, it's nothing about local or anything like that. None of these. And this camera's so weird. It's usually such a nice camera, but I guess with this lighting, it's not doing well. It doesn't like it. So yeah, over 10,000 people voted for nobody in this state. It's interesting. Yeah, my camera's getting overheated. Maybe it's a sign I should go. Maybe it's a sign. I don't know, anybody else have any questions? Want me to look into anything else? If not, I'm going to sign off. Get on with my day. Enjoy this beautiful weather here in Vegas. Yeah, this was fun. Yeah, wild. That's right. That's right. Wild things. Well, I hope that everybody is getting through this process with ease and with calm and love and peace for our community, because at the end of the day, like, that's still going to be here regardless of who wins or whatever's going on. So we just love each other, be patient, and keep voting, keep being engaged, keep thinking about these things, because they will get better for us if we manifest them to do so. So with that, I'm going to sign off. I'll see everybody tomorrow. We'll be streaming Tea Talks, so that'll be fun and casual. This will be fun. No talk of politics, I'm sure. maybe a little bit, just because this is so relevant, and the numbers may not even be confirmed by then. Actually, Nevada's numbers may be confirmed by tomorrow morning. If that happens, then it'll be good to go. All right, guys, have a great night. See you tomorrow.